How do I do this? Okay. And Christy, if you can help me out a little bit with this, can you put everybody on mute? Go. Dun, 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 dun. Christy, yeah, there it goes. Okay, let me just bring up the presentation for myself, guys, and then I'm gonna pass it along. So let's see. All right. Okay, can everybody see this presentation? Just put thumbs up. Yep. Cool. So welcome everybody. Thank you so much for all coming to what I would say is the first event of the new board of the Alberta chapter of the VRARA Association. This is great, and yeah, this is our first event and one of many to come. So first things I'm going to do is just introduce myself a little bit. Then I'm going to talk about the VRARA Association at a global and local level. And then finally from there, we're going to pass it on to Christy Seville, who's going to be doing a presentation on best practices when it comes to marketing emerging technologies. And I think she's going to make it very relevant for those that are involved in the XR, AR, VR ecosystem. So first things first, as an introduction to myself, and I don't like doing this, but I have to, is kind of like, I'm going to talk to you guys about first who am I and why am I leading this chapter. So who am I? First and foremost, I'm a father of two little guys, Alexander and Marcus. They're 7 and 4 years old, and husband to a very supportive wife and very patient wife, Marcella. And yeah, like that's number one priority for me at this moment in my life, and I guess for the foreseeable future. On top of that, I'm an entrepreneur. I oversee business strategy and partnerships at Kaleidoscope XR. Kaleidoscope XR is a startup that was literally created this year in the middle of the pandemic. And the company focuses on using design thinking to develop custom immersive solutions for workforce training and healthcare applications through AR, VR, and AI. We're doing some very cool projects right now in the healthcare field that, probably in January, we're planning to roll out and hopefully, share the stories with you guys of how that goes. And that'll be other people in my organization to share those stories. Finally, and most importantly, at least in regards to this event, I'm the president of the Alberta chapter of the VRARA Association, and basically had to put up my hand to, volunteer and support this local chapter. I've been a part of it for the past 2 years. I'm taking the mantle from Mike McCready at Lethbridge College, who did a really good job of leading this chapter and did some pretty successful initiatives, including creating a new XR program through Alberta Innovates and doing a couple good events that talked about some of the success stories that came out of Alberta. The reason why I volunteered to lead this chapter is because this industry has a great impact on the way people work, live, and play. And the work that's coming out of Alberta stakeholders is quite amazing. And I see this industry too as one industry that's very collaborative. If you notice in the call, there's going to be many different participants from different companies, different post-secondaries here in Alberta. And honestly, as much as we quote unquote could be competitors, the truth is, like, most of us are very supportive of one another and want to see each other succeed. And I see this chapter as being that center that can allow and facilitate connections between industry stakeholders and educating the general public as well as the core industries in Alberta about this technology and the impact it can have on people and workers. So Yeah, one thing I did want to say is like looking at this slide right here is, you're just looking at just a little bit more than a handful of the XR companies here in Alberta, um, that are doing great work here and growing fast. And it's a sector that, from what I understand, is growing faster than even the video game industry. And at least that is reflected here in Alberta. Um, and over the last 5 years, many of the company brands that you're seeing here, they got created like in the last 5 years and are growing exponentially. And those that have existed over the past 10 years are doing really, really well at this point in time. And it's just a sector that over the next 5 to 10 years, you're going to see more of a presence of it in your daily life. So that's the reason why, I'm here as the president of the Alberta chapter. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about the Global Association. As you can see in this slide, there are 4,400 companies, brands, and schools that participate in the Global Association. And then there are 70 chapters located globally. So basically located in cities, provinces, states across the world. And then I guess one key thing that in terms of the value that this Global Association brings to the table is really good at, marketing the stories of the people doing good work in this area, whether that's post-secondaries, whether that's, companies that are participating here, or whether it's adopters, adopting the XR, VR, AR technologies into their operations and seeing the impact and, improvement in efficiency, effectiveness of the workers that are using these technologies. So the Global Association has many ways of marketing the stories, including through events, speaking out opportunities at events, email newsletters that go to all members, podcast and webcast, articles, etc. On top of that, there's basically the association is like a center for sharing knowledge with one another. And the other part that the association plays a pretty good role in is developing best practices in the development of VRAR content. And that's slowly but surely emerging little by little. They're connecting, again, XR developers with core industries, such as manufacturing, energy, etc., and just developing best practices of how the work should be done and developing new standards. So that's the value that the Global Association brings to the table. Here are some of the participants in the Global Association. You've got the big tech players here, like Google, Amazon. You've got, what I would say is like big aerospace and defense companies like Raytheon involved. A lot of government entities are involved too, and then you've even got some, pretty surprisingly, but some Alberta players that are doing key members of the association, including companies like Scope AR. So this is just to show you where the chapters are located globally. There's 70 chapters. They're mostly located in North America, Europe, and Asia. A little bit of presence in Latin America. I think there's a chapter or two opening up in Africa, I think specifically Nigeria. So when one participates in this association and does events like this, the goal of it is to have those presentations, those articles, all of that disseminated globally so that people can really learn about what you're doing, and that's the benefit. Now, on the Alberta chapter side, we've recently gone through what I would call a bit of a board restructure. As mentioned before, there was previous leadership that basically got too busy and decided to resign from the Alberta chapter board. This is the new Alberta chapter board. It includes myself. I'd like to introduce Ali Siska, who's going to be the VP for Calgary, overseeing the chapter activities in Calgary. Christy Seville, she's a volunteer for the Alberta chapter board, and she will be seeing, she's the VP of Edmonton, so overseeing Edmonton activities. And then finally, Lynn Akkad, who's the VP of Policy and Research and will be very key over the next year with a lot of plans in terms of just getting to know what's happening here in the sector here in Alberta and put in some key statistics to it, because that's key when, you know, trying to ask for more support and stuff like that. Another key thing to note for all of you on the call is that the Alberta chapter board has 4 members. We're all volunteer based. We're all volunteering here. We're not making money on this. But, you know, what we are doing is we're very passionate about this industry. We want to see this industry take off specifically in Alberta. And we want to see that this industry supports the core industries here in Alberta, the energy sector, film and TV, agribusiness, et cetera, and making those sectors more efficient and effective in what they do. So there is, yeah, that to notice. And what I'm going to say to you guys is, like, right now we have 4 members and there's open positions in the board. We are looking to fill positions to make sure that this Alberta chapter provides more value, more programs and services to Alberta stakeholders. So you're looking at the list right there. I'm not going to read all of them, but just please note that, and like, please refer any individuals or yourself and reach out to me if you're interested in participating in the Alberta chapter board. Now, the goals of the Alberta chapter board include the following: the growth of the Alberta XR ecosystem, and also the growth of the core industries that are here in Alberta. The way that's going to be done, it's going to be done through, you know, setting up events like this where folks like Christy educate us on best practices, and we're looking for, you know, more volunteers to participate and speak about, you know, general business practices or best ways to improve your organization, or just speak about the cool stuff that your particular company or post-secondary is doing with XR, and, you know, the challenges you're facing, because many of us, I think all of us are facing them. But the whole point is to share knowledge with one another, share knowledge with other, you know, like I said, other core industry stakeholders, because I think 95% of the people I speak to know nothing about the work that you know, we are doing as a whole, and they don't understand the value that this technology provides. So there's going to be more meetings or more events set up to educate those stakeholders, and finally educate the general public about the work that's coming out of the Alberta XR ecosystem. We're looking to do more connections between stakeholders. And finally, advocacy is something that's going to be a little bit more down the road. But the first piece of that is going to be identifying where we stand today. How did we, you know, where did we stand about 2 years ago? And then what are the goals of the XR ecosystem over the next 2 years? And what are some programs and services that government and industry can potentially create to support this industry of ours? All right, so these are upcoming initiatives and ask. So the first ask I'm going to have is for those that are on this call today and those that view this video after it's publicized, is to please join the Alberta chapter Slack channel. The link is right here. I think Lynn is going to put this link on the meeting chat.
Yeah, I did.
Cool. Please participate. This is one form of us connecting, and please share your stories. Like, if you're looking to hire folks, if you've come up with a new, you know, creation in XR that you want to showcase to the Alberta XR ecosystem, please do. If you want to connect with folks like me because you want to present on some cool topic, please do. Just look at that Slack channel as a way to make things move a little bit quicker and just connect with the general XR ecosystem. Again, there's open positions in the board. So I ask if you could please spread the word on that, and please try to, help us make this organization become more effective at what we do. On top of that, December 17th, for all of those interested, there is an event being held by VRAR Global. It's a free event, and it's all about the metaverse. This is a topic that's going to come up over and over again now because of Mr. Mark Zuckerberg, but there's a lot more to it than Mark Zuckerberg. But anyways, it's a good thing that's being rolled out soon, and there's a lot of topics that are going to be covered at this event. Free event for those that register, and if you want to network, I think the charge is about $9.99, so $10. And finally, the next Alberta chapter event that we're going to hold is going to be probably January, February 2022, and hopefully, I'm crossing my fingers on this, that it will be an in-person event that we will start trying to host, just because this kind of technology, as great as it is to showcase on Zoom, it's a lot better to showcase in person. So I'm hoping that's the case. And we plan to roll out events on a monthly to bi-monthly basis with our partners, including SATE, Platform Calgary, and other, what I would say key ecosystem players like them. Here's my email, alberta@thevrara.com. Please reach out to me if you've got any questions, concerns, thoughts. And my number is located right there, 403-918-0805. With that said, we're getting to the crux of the main part of this meeting. So let me just introduce my, colleague, my friend, Christy Seville. Christy is a marketing and PR strategist with a focus on emerging technologies. She is the Chief Marketing Officer of PitchFWD, a startup that's doing a great job. A strategist with ZAG, a marketing company based out of Edmonton that's growing exponentially at this moment, and a VP of Edmonton for the Alberta VRAR Association. In her work, she's focused on helping organizations build, understanding, and accelerate adoption of their technologies. She has always had a special interest in XR and has helped many VR and AR companies from Canada and the US reach their marketing goals. She brings her Oculus Quest 2 with her everywhere, and her favorite VR game is Super Hot. So with that said, I'm going to end this presentation myself and let Christy present. Thank you.
Thanks so much for the intro, David. I'm gonna just share my screen here and we'll get this show on the road. And apologies for the delay. That is the wrong button. Okay, here we go. So I'm here to talk to you all today about marketing emerging technologies, specifically about awareness, because I feel like for a lot of startups in VR, AR, AI, blockchain, whatever you're doing that's new and interesting and innovative, awareness is really a key part in that process of raising funds, of building a clientele, of building partnerships with key people in the area. So I really wanted to focus in on that particular part of the marketing funnel today in order to get you started on your journey toward marketing yourselves. So a little bit about me. My pronouns are she, her. Like David said, I'm the CMO of PitchFWD. It's a marketing and advertising consultancy based out of New York. I'm a strategist with ZAG, which is a local Edmonton marketing agency. We are a full service agency. We can help you with anything from strategy to design to social media management and everything in between. So anything you could imagine, we can help you with that. And I'm also the marketing chair and the VP of Edmonton for the VRARA Alberta. We are looking to expand our board roles, as David said. So if you're interested in marketing and you want to work with a great group, let me know. Reach out to that email that David provided, and it's also in the chat. Thank you, Lynn. I have a BA and a PR diploma. I'm a proud Edmontonian and a VR/AR enthusiast. So a little bit about my story and how I got involved in VR and AR. It wasn't by choice. Like a lot of people in their careers, I feel like I fell backwards into the world of virtual and augmented reality and had to learn really quickly about what it was, how it impacted people, and how it impacted different industries. And what I learned is that it impacts absolutely everything. Especially, I think AR has the ability to change and disrupt so many different industries and change the way that we approach our jobs, our lives, our social lives. Everything is going to be a little bit different thanks to technologies like virtual and augmented reality. So I started out with local companies here in Edmonton, helping them get a handle on how virtual and augmented reality fits within the ecosystem of Alberta and how to market themselves, not just locally, but internationally as well. So I wanted to get into a little bit about what are the big questions people ask me in marketing in general and for emerging technology specifically. So the first one is we get a lot of companies that come up to us and say, I'm doing this really amazing thing and it's got the potential to change the world. It's got the potential to change lives. Why doesn't anybody know what we're doing? And that's a really great point, but the key thing to remember here is that even though your technology is amazing, you can shout it from the rooftops, but if nobody is aware of it, you're not really doing much. So that's where marketing comes in. A lot of people think that marketing, when it comes to emerging technology, you're just marketing, you're putting polish on a turd is what I've heard someone say to me once, which is absolutely incorrect. We're not lying to people. We're not presenting anything that isn't real. We're just finding ways and avenues to reach people that would care about what you're doing. People do care about your product. They care about what you're doing and they want to know more. We just need to find the right way to reach them and share your message with them. The next thing I have is that people always tell me our technology is for everyone. While this may be true, and theoretically any person could use or find use for your technology, that's not your target. So when it comes to marketing, you really want to focus in on the lowest hanging fruit or the people that would get the most benefit out of your technology. So even though your technology could be used by everyone, will it be? No. Absolutely not. So we really need to focus in on who are those people that are going to be those early adopters of your technology? Who are the people that are going to pick up the phone and call because this is going to make a big difference for them or for their company? And that's where we come in as marketers and as strategists is we help you find that product market fit. We help you figure out exactly who is the person that's going to use your technology, which is the market that you're going to get the most financial return from and put your most effort into, and then how do we reach them? So even though your technology is for everybody, we really want to hone in on who exactly it is best for. So for awareness marketing, for some of you who may be familiar with the marketing funnel, the sales funnel there, awareness is right at the top. It's the first step in the sales funnel and your potential customer's first impression of your company. So it's really important that awareness marketing is done properly because if it's done wrong, they're not going to follow the sales funnel into interaction, interest, and action. They're not going to become ambassadors for your brand. They're not going to tell their friends. They're not going to buy. They're not going to do anything. So it's really crucial that you communicate properly what it is you do and who it is you serve right at the very first step there through awareness. And there's the rule of sevens is what we call it in marketing. A person has to see a marketing message roughly 7 times before they recall it. So what this means for you and for your company is that you have to be putting your message out there through multiple different platforms and put it out there pretty frequently. So if you post one thing on LinkedIn once, chances are that the majority of people that even follow you on LinkedIn haven't seen that. So posting the similar message again will help reinforce that message and help people remember and recall you. And also if you're posting just on social media and just digitally, you're missing a whole network of people that don't use those platforms and may not be seeing your message enough times to actually recall it. So making sure you mix up your marketing mix so that you have enough of these tactics to reach the people that you need to reach effectively is really key in building that awareness. Awareness marketing is designed with consistency to increase touch points with your audiences, and all those touch points they have with your brand add up to them moving further down in that sales funnel and ultimately purchasing your product or service. So when it comes to marketing a normal product, there's 3 levels of awareness. So if we're marketing something for say a Kit Kat bar, a cell phone, things that people know that they need and are aware of, and they don't need to be told what it is necessarily. There's 3 levels. So awareness of your brand name. So if it's a Kit Kat bar, for example, it's awareness of Nestle or Kit Kat and understanding that the two are connected, understanding, I know Kit Kat, I've heard that name before. And next is awareness of your product offering, excuse me. So you've heard the name Kit Kat, and awareness of the product offering is you know what it is. You know it's a chocolate bar. You understand that when you get it, you're going to be eating a snack. And then the 3rd level is awareness of your brand's attributes. So they understand that Kit Kat bar comes in segments. They understand that it has wafer cookie in the middle. They understand these attributes that go with the brand. And even further down is they might understand more specific personality and tone from your organization. So they might understand that Kit Kat is involved with a charity initiative or have partnerships with different other companies. They might have a more deeper understanding of the brand beyond the fact that they understand what a Kit Kat is. And that's kind of what we're going for here is really building that deep level of understanding of your company and how you relate to others. But when it comes to emerging technology, there's actually 4 layers of awareness. So before we can even get into your brand name, before they even know who you are, they have to understand your technology. So this is where people often get tripped up. They think they can just put their brand name out there and people will just pick up on that. But you really do have to walk people through it and build that awareness of what your technology specifically is before you start having them associate that with your brand name. So if you're especially in a new category of technology, a category creator, you've created something that doesn't exist and there's nothing else like it out there before, like Uber, you really do have to focus in on what is the technology? Why is it special? When it's virtual reality and augmented reality, how many of you have gone out there and spoken to someone and said, I work in augmented reality, and have them had no idea what you're talking about? And then you kind of have to explain, oh, you know, like Pokemon Go, like you have to build that awareness of what that technology is before you can introduce exactly what you do in that space. So that's the most important thing for emerging technology companies to be aware of, is that awareness of your technology comes first. So I'm going to go through a few ways that you can build that awareness of your technology and that you can create those relationships. So for emerging technology companies, awareness means both awareness of their company and what their technology is. Have any of you heard of Mojo Vision before? Sorry, Nobody. Okay, awesome. So Mojo Vision, they create an augmented reality contact lens. So I use them as an example here because I feel like they are just so out in this Black Mirror territory of technology that people would have to have this funnel go through before they can understand what it is. So for Mojo Vision to create awareness of their brand and the importance of, they have to raise awareness of the importance of augmented reality as it relates to their target audiences. So some tactics to build awareness of the technology are media relations, social media, review marketing, thought leadership. So what this means for you is that if you have something cool that you're doing and you're like, why don't people know about it? Start sharing about it. So put out a press release, speak to media about a local Edmonton or a local Calgary, a local Lethbridge, wherever you're from, a local startup that's doing something different and new and innovative, and share it with the general audience. You can do social media. So LinkedIn is a huge part of this. When it comes to social media and thought leadership content, you're looking at LinkedIn, you're looking at creating articles. You're looking at posting content on LinkedIn that reinforces your status as a category creator, your status as an emerging technology company that's doing something new and interesting. Review marketing is the next thing. So connecting with influencers, connecting with people who are thought leaders in your industry and giving them an opportunity to try out your technology or to try out your service or your product, whatever it is, and provide their feedback publicly. This is going to be huge for launching your brand, taking advantage of that influencer relationship. And sometimes you do have to pay for that. So just be aware that that might require a budget, and pushing your thought leadership forward. So thought leadership generally fits in among all of these tactics, But as a tactic on its own, it might show up as showing up at conferences, pitching yourself as a speaker at a conference, talking about how your technology is related to some new trend or news event that's taking place, finding ways to position yourself within your community and within the global community as someone who's doing something different. So these are some of the different tactics that you can use to build that awareness. Excuse me, there we go. And then I want to talk a little bit about emerging technology markets. So when it comes to creating a new category, creating new technology, creating something that hasn't been there before, you're not really looking at marketing that directly to general consumers right away. Generally speaking, this new technology is going to be more expensive right off the bat for consumers. It's going to be a little bit more difficult and require more in-depth knowledge to be able to set it up and have it operate. And so to do that, you really need to look at people that are willing to put in the extra effort and the extra money for the reward that it generates. So industry is huge. Looking at oil and gas. I know a lot of you work with oil and gas, looking at mining, looking at healthcare, all these different industries that seek improvement through new technologies on a regular basis, and targeting them specifically for how your technology can help them get there. And then government is the other thing. So highly funded departments, they do pick up new technologies more quickly. Specifically, I'm thinking defense and aerospace are some big ones that tend to pick up on these technologies before anybody else. They're willing to put more money into it and risk trying something new and have it not work out versus fall behind other governments or other countries. So targeting those entities is generally what happens when you come up with an emerging technology. And then lastly, it's general consumer. And even when it's general consumer, it's never everybody. It's going to be early adopters, generally speaking, and they usually skew a little bit younger. This obviously is a little bit different depending on what your technology is. I've worked with a technology that was marketed towards seniors, and it was VR and it was AR, but it was marketed towards an older demographic. So depending on what you're doing and who you're targeting, this could change. But what I'm seeing is typically some younger people that are adopting that technology. So because the industry and government typically pick up new technologies first, that means that you're usually marketing B2B. So that makes a big difference in the type of communication channels that you choose. If you're marketing directly to your consumer, then the strategies that you pick up and the tactics that you choose are going to be a little bit different. So you might choose Instagram, you might have an e-commerce store, you might be doing all of these things and pushing a lot of your messaging out via virtual ads through Google search or Google display, something like that to reach that market, because that's generally speaking a great way to reach the general consumer. But when it comes to business marketing, it's very different. It's a lot based on reputation, and it's a lot based on who you know and how you get there and how you get your name in front of them, how you get their technology in front of them. So what I have found when it comes to marketing B2B for an emerging technology company is that the messaging must speak directly to each target audience. So you have a technology that you've created, and you could see it being used by healthcare. You could see it being used by aerospace or by oil and gas. You see all of the potential for these different verticals for your technology. They're not going to see that. You see that. They'll see kind of a cool piece of tech that's kind of interesting. You have to walk them through it. I believe my next slide touches on that. So for Mojo Vision, the technology has a possibility for use in a variety of industries. I've listed some of them there, but literally the list goes on forever. Healthcare, industrial, education, training, aerospace and defense, automotive, consumer, it's just anything, because it's a piece of hardware that displays anything that you program into it in augmented reality. They really could be thought of as any kind of industry product. So for them to reach these audiences, they need to include key selling points for these target audiences specifically. So the example I've provided here is Mojo lenses safely allow physicians to perform surgery with access to patient data quickly and readily available without interfering with the physician's vision or movement. So outlining for that particular person, here's why our technology should matter to you. Here's what it means for you. It means saving money. Like when you read this statement, you automatically kind of think, oh, okay, well, if we're able to get all of that, we're probably going to save more lives. We're probably going to be able to perform surgery safer. It makes the consumer think of the possibilities that come attached with your technology without you having to directly spell it out for them. But you do have to guide them toward exactly what situation this might be like for them. So this kind of content could live in blogs for you. It could live on social media. It could live in specific case studies that you've done with different companies. You can pitch those as stories if they're open to it for PR, and reach out to media and have influencers share your experiences and your technology throughout their network. So if there's a healthcare influencer, you can reach out to them, or someone who works in mining that has a big circle of influence in that space. So it's just really finding ways to curate your content to speak directly to each of your target industries. So some of these recommended tactics, again, social media, media relations, website. On your website, SEO is huge. I just want to delve into this just a little bit. So if you are serving 5 different target industries and you don't mention any of those industries on your website, or any of the terms that they might be searching for when they're looking to innovate or change, they're not going to come across you as easily as if you did. So if you are targeting, I'm going to go on aerospace again. If you're targeting aerospace and you want to make sure that your technology gets in front of them, or that your website has a good SEO ranking, that would involve mentioning those words on your website. So aerospace and defense technology, or new innovation for aerospace and defense, like have different variations of saying the same thing a few different times, and for each industry as well. Just making sure that your website has a good as chance as possible to be seen by your target consumer. Having a blog is, I know people are sick of blogs. Everybody's sick of blogs, but I like to see this as not only a thought leadership tool, but as an SEO tool. So if you don't want to overload your website with all of these keywords that you just jam in there, a blog is a great way to have them listed so that they don't appear to be overwhelming your consumer. So talking about each specific use case in a blog article, and then delving deeper into that when you move along. So you could mention each specific use case in the blog, and then the next time you delve on that use case a little bit deeper, talk about your technology a little bit more in that particular scenario. And then speaking opportunities. I feel like in Canada, a lot of us are reticent to share our expertise beyond our borders, but I highly, highly recommend it. Reaching out to conferences like CES, South by Southwest, AWE, or even the VRARA international conference that we put on every year. Reaching out to these and offering yourself up as a speaker, if you have a unique point of view or a unique technology that you want to share, is going to make leaps and bounds for you making connections in the industry, and also open up new doors for potential future speaking opportunities. I can't express how much this has mattered to some of the technology companies I've supported, where they've gone to speak at an event and they've leveraged that speaking opportunity into local media once they get back home, or offering to pitch their technology every opportunity that they get. Just being out there and sharing and winning awards for their technology really advances you a lot quicker and gives yourself credibility a lot quicker than any other tactic that I've seen. And webinars as well, something like this. We at VRARA are always looking for speakers at our webinars. So if you have something unique that you want to share, reach out to us and tell us, and we can see if it would be a good fit for a webinar that we host. So just a really incredible tactic to raise awareness for your technology, for your company, and to raise your own profile as an individual innovator in the community. So that's what I've got for you today. And I've got some information here. If you want to connect with me, if you have any questions about marketing, any questions about the VRARA, you can reach out to me. That's my email there. That's my LinkedIn. It's just Christy Seville if you want to find me. I'm happy to connect and have coffee or chat with anybody that's interested. And I want to open up the floor now to just a question and answer. Are there any questions from the group?
Christy, I have a question. There's a question that came. How do you measure brand awareness?
There's a few different ways to measure brand awareness. It depends on what channels you're marketing through. So if you're doing digital ads, you could measure your brand awareness through impressions on those ads. When you're posting a digital ad or a social media ad, usually it asks you to choose what kind of metric you are looking for. Are you looking for conversions? Are you looking for impressions? Are you looking for engagement? What is that metric that matters to you? So if you're looking for impressions and you just want people to see your name and see your technology, that would be the metric that you'd look at on digital ads. Otherwise, brand awareness is kind of an amorphous thing. It's really difficult to measure if you don't have a baseline before. So what I would recommend for someone, if they're out there going to create awareness, is try to gather what that baseline awareness for your technology or your company is first before initiating any marketing activities. So that could be through a survey, that could be through website traffic is one that we often use. How many people are clicking on your website where they didn't before? And then monitoring as you begin your marketing activities, how that changes or increases based on each activity.
Cool, Christy, thank you so much. I see a question that popped up here from Allison. So where did you get that Rockin' Silicon Valley shirt?
I got that at South by Southwest. Highly recommend.
That's so awesome.
They had an experiential marketing exhibit at South by Southwest for Silicon Valley, the TV show, where you could go and like sit in the Hooli headquarters.
Oh my God, that's so great.
It was awesome.
On a real note, though, that was my lead-in break the ice question. But my real question is, how would you approach marketing for something like a narrative VR experience? Like, where would you go first if you had a really interesting story that you wanted to get out there into the world?
That's interesting. I would ask a few questions. It's like, what are the channels that you're going to be releasing that on? Because that makes a big difference as to how we market it. So if it's an app being released on the Oculus Quest.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so if it's an app being released on the Oculus Quest, it's a narrative experience. I would share a lot of those. I imagine it's quite an emotion-driven kind of narrative. So sharing some of that.
Isolation tie-in thing too. So like we're trying to sort of like focus on platforms like this, like through Zoom and stuff like that, where people are apart but together.
I would focus on what is the purpose of it? What are you trying to accomplish? What is the story trying to share with you? What are you trying to learn from it? And then how can you express that on different platforms without giving away the cow, as it were? So sharing clips of the experience, sharing some of the users that have gone through it. What have they experienced? How did it make a difference to them? What was the impact of the experience on those who have gone through it?
Awesome.
Cool.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you for that, Allison. So, and yeah, I really appreciate that. So, Christy, like, I've got a question for you. Like, for a lot of that, not only XR companies, but also just tech companies in general in Canada and anywhere, a lot of them are startups, and a lot of the focus for startup is like on just development of the technology, development of the solution, getting that off the ground. How much budget should a startup dedicate to marketing once the solution is ready or once services are ready to be offered? How much of a budget should a startup dedicate to that?
You've touched on a couple different things. And first I want to talk about one of the things that I think is my favorite. You talked about someone's focused on developing a product. They just want to get their product there and get it out there. When really a product should be developed in conjunction with the marketing team to make sure that you have that product market fit. There's so many times that our programmers are so focused on developing something they think is really cool and think is really interesting that they put all these features into the technology that nobody actually cares about or wants. So when you're developing in conjunction with marketing, you can have more of a clear path forward as to what is it your target market actually cares about and actually wants, and you can develop that product more closely aligned with that target audience, so you're making money quicker. You spend less time going back and making changes and altering the UX to make sure that it actually makes sense to your target audience. And when it comes to budget, this is one of my favorite questions because I don't have an actual direct answer for you about how much it's going to cost to market your technology. It depends on the technology. It depends on your target audience and your goals. So if you look, what I would say to companies is take a look at what you're trying to accomplish, come up with a plan for what it would take to get there, and then analyze the cost of that. Because for each technology, it's going to be different. If you're B2C, the cost is going to be higher. The market is flooded. It's a little bit more difficult to get your message out there. It's going to be higher to reach higher cost to reach a B2C market than it is for B2B. So some of the numbers I've seen floating around are something like 5% of your overall budget. But again, I would say there are creative ways that you can come up with to reach that goal without spending a ton of money. So it's what are the tactics that are going to be most impactful for your target market, and then which ones are worth spending money on. If that makes sense.
Awesome. Cool. Any more questions to the participants here? Okay. You guys, give you one more second. I'm going to ask one more question here, which is, there's a lot of tactics and ways to market, the technology. There is social media, there's blogs, so out of all those, I guess, marketing channels, like what provides the biggest ROI in today's world with XR?
The biggest ROI with XR, again, it depends on your goals. It depends on what that return looks like for you. Is return on your investment, is that impressions? Is that engagement? Is that someone clicking on your website? What does that R look like for you? So it really does depend. There are some quick ways. A lot of people are navigating more toward those digital media tactics just because COVID has trended us that direction, first of all. And second of all, people working in tech love to see those actual quantitative results. It's a trait of the industry. We're creating a technology. We want to use technology. We love technology. Why don't we use it more? And sometimes it does work really well. Posting ads on LinkedIn, for example, they can be expensive, just FYI. But sometimes that is nice for you to see. Just generally speaking, what is the quantitative result of the money that I'm putting in? Whereas I would say a lot of the free opportunities like speaking opportunities or thought leadership are going to generate more of that return for you. Depending again what your goals are, you're going to see more awareness from activities like that as opposed to ads, especially if you're targeting developers, because we hate ads.
No, I would say, yeah, big target for many of the participants in this call is actually big industry. So decision makers at, energy companies, agribusiness, like older decision makers.
Absolutely. And those decision makers aren't necessarily going to respond to a LinkedIn ad. They're not necessarily going to respond to something they see on Instagram. That's not the target that you should be going after. They're going to notice when someone in their community has a voice and has something interesting to say and has a technology that's new and different. So how do you get that technology out there and build awareness for that first? And then you kind of have the path paved for you when you want to do reach out.
Awesome.
Christy,
All right.
Cash has a question, quick question. Cash, if you want
Yeah,
to
thank
ask
you.
the question.
Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Actually, to build a little bit off what David just said, and you, Christy, how do you market to somebody who doesn't know what VR is and has never put a headset on?
If they don't know what VR is, that's the first step. Is all of your marketing messaging should be geared toward helping them understand. So understanding what VR is, how it works, why it's important, and then direct them to why it's important to their industry. So it's going to look like a long process, and it is us as an industry as well coming together to help bring that message out there. It's not the job of one specific company to help people understand what VR is. It's all of our job, which is why associations like the VRARA are making such an impact in that area, because we're helping build that understanding.
And Michael?
Hi, Christy. Kind of building off that, and David and I have had this conversation a little bit about, the first, and you identified the first step in this process. Of course, in our business is kind of educating and making industries aware that this technology can be a potential solution to pain points they may have in whether it's training, marketing, whatever it might be. And that this industry and this industry association is kind of in a unique position, I guess, of being able to lobby this technology, this group of us to make make this technology, these platforms aware to these types of industries. Is that, from your perspective, how deep does the association need to go in doing something like that? How important do you think that is?
Oh, it's so important. It's very important for us to move as a whole, for everybody in the industry to move forward, for all of our target industries to understand what VR is and why it's important to them. But just like marketing your specific technology, I would say as a whole, we need to specifically speak to each industry individually and offer up why the technology is important to that industry. Give them examples, give them companies to speak to that are operating in that space, and then move on. So we would do healthcare maybe first and talk to them about why VR and AR is important for healthcare. What are the ways that it can innovate their industry? Then move on to mining and what is it that we can talk about mining and why it's important there. Then oil and gas. Like, I think setting up a series of webinars, this is just me brainstorming off the top of my head, but a series of webinars specifically targeted to each industry would be really impactful.
Awesome. Any more questions, anybody? Okay, I'm just gonna leave it at that note. Just I want to make sure everybody goes to their 1 o'clock meetings if they have it and are able to grab some food if that's what you were meant to do at this time. With that note, and Christy, thanks for mentioning that. That does give ideas as to like what the Alberta chapter is going to be doing in the near future. She's already part of the Alberta chapter board, and yes, Christy's bringing those ideas internally. Michael, I know you brought that up with us too. So there is already some upcoming opportunities coming in the near future to target specific industry specific events. And if you have any questions about that, please reach out to me. I'll reach out to those that I've already gotten to know in some format. But just realize, the Alberta chapter is here for you guys, but also please understand that it's also about us all working together to kind of, again, educate industry, educate the general public about what we do. So I ask that you please participate in some manner. So thank you so much, everybody, for your time. Thank you so much, Christy, for presenting and educating us all on best practices when it comes to marketing emerging technologies. I took away some good notes on that. I love the whole
Rule of
seven rule. That was awesome. So everybody, thank you so much for your time. And again, Christy, I'm just going to clap for you and thank you again. So
thank you all for listening. Thank you for your questions. I love this. I love brainstorming, and this just made me think more and more. Now my brain's going a mile a minute and I just want to write everything down. So I appreciate you all.
All right.
Thank you
All
all
right,
for
guys.
joining us.
Thank you, Len. Yeah. All right, everybody, have a great day. We'll catch you in the next event in January.